Ladies and gentlemen, we are back again for another wonderful Rostermania reactions. Stop. Now you're getting me all hot and bothered. The support in the last episode was absurd. We broke 50,000 views in 24 hours. That might be one of our best ever. So
that's great. People are excited, man. This is interesting times as we're like, what, midway through the season.
Oh, it's midway through the season. There's been so many positive changes, it seems like, to the patches and competitive rule set. I'm seeing just greater kind of Call of Duty World War II quality of life updates that it seems the bigger Call of Duty community is getting behind. So it's fun to see, but obviously we're here for the esports, the nitty-gritty of the CWL.
Yeah.
If you missed the last video, we covered, some of the changes that happened earlier on in the Rostermania, but now we have a lot of things confirmed. As we're filming this, Roster Lock for Seattle just happened. So these rosters are now locked. We haven't gotten official confirmations about one team, which we'll talk about. We'll just say it's a rumor for now.
Yeah, there's a couple things that still need to be announced, but for the most part, we're through it, right?
And again, the crazy thing, and what we have to address this too, this might not be the last Rostermania of even this month. Yeah,
it's interesting because, I think there will definitely be maybe changes after Seattle, but I'll never forget one thing that Clayster said to me. This was at Birmingham, and he basically said, I think I asked him something along the lines of, do you think we'll see a lot of stuff happen now and a lot of stuff after? And he was kind of unsure about that because he basically said, first event is everything when you make a team change. And I was kind of surprised to hear that. I was like, you're only going to have a couple days to practice. And he was like, it doesn't matter. You kind of know right away. If you go into a tournament, that team does not work out. If you don't have a really deep run, you kind of know it's not going to work, which I guess I was a little bit surprised to hear that, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, if things are going to click, they're going to click right away.
The man's got a lot of experience. In the last episode, in the last episode, we did touch on Envy, and I think we'll kind of start there. Last we heard with some of the Envy changes going down. Obviously, Slasher, kind of jumped ship. Some other changes there, but it's now been tweeted and confirmed. The Envy roster is now Classic and Hook from before, alongside Decimate and Chino. And one big theme we're going to talk about probably in this is kind of the roles on these teams and how most teams probably got upgrades in some way. A lot of teams built around that whole idea of the 3 sub or 2 subs and a really good flex.
Yeah.
And I think that this is kind of an example of that.
Yes. Yikes. I mean, of all these teams that's happened so far, the only one that I feel, I guess, really good about just being an upgrade, and I don't think it can really be debated much, is the Rise change. Everything else, I feel like we kind of have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But Decimate and Chino going with Classic and Hoop, I guess the one part I like about it is that I know from hearing from other players and, kind of just people that have talked to Hook, he really didn't deal well in an environment with Slasher, with sort of the way that he obviously prevents feedback can be aggressive, sort of beat you down to build you up type mentality. It didn't really work out for Hook. I've heard that Hook's a guy that wants to just play with friends, lead friends out there and dominate. And who doesn't love Chino? Chino's someone that's going to have fun with his team. Yeah. He may have to take over a little bit of a leadership role. And as far as Decimate goes, I think we're also excited to see what happens. Pharaoh went to TK. Decimate joins this NB roster. We have the other two and kind of Blast and Ricky, which we'll talk about later from the era/Reckless period. But I'm excited because I think we're still on the Hook train, man. We haven't seen the best of this kid. And I think now he's going to be in a position more to shine, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree there. I think that it's great to see, again, that mix of the kind of younger talent, plus Chino already 2 championships to his name this year. They've got what it takes. If anything you can say, maybe they got a little bit weaker in the assault rifle role, but how do you get anything better than having Slasher? So yeah, you could have put anybody in there, and I think you would be able to say that.
That's the tough part. I think the good thing about this, though, is just that we know for a fact that there was some people that didn't deal well with the way Slasher was. Yep. So you got to think that they're going to improve. And then that's the reason I like the Rise thing. I think Slasher went to a team where there are people that can deal with the way Slasher is. I don't think that's going to be a concern there. So overall, I think it kind of works out for both sides of it. Well, there's kind of 3 sides of it, I guess. But I don't know what to expect from this NB team. I don't have a whole lot with regards to projections for most of these rosters because we're just going to have to wait and see, man.
No, it should tell us a lot at Seattle. Now, the next team we kind of talked about in here was United. And people were wondering and saying, is this team going to make a change months ago? Well, they wind up sticking it out. They kind of have to. They try to make the best of everything through Stage 1 playoffs, and we've all said it kind of did okay. I mean, it could have been way worse, I think is the best way to put it. But now they wind up making their change, and the first thing I want to say to you is the change is Silly out, Fellow in. Now, we know they play a similar role, but for you, Maven, there's been rumors of, did they want to do more with this team? Did they have to keep
I guess
together?
that's the thing that stands out to me. I thought there'd be more of a, I know you have to keep 2 players, so not way more of an implosion, but I thought it would be 2 out, 2 in. I thought I thought Silly and Pristini would be out and 2 players would be coming in. Obviously, I don't think things necessarily panned out for United the way they wanted them to. I thought they were probably looking for a player maybe stronger than Fellow, and that's not a knock to Fellow. Do I think he is an improvement over Silly? Personally, yeah, I do. I think Fellow can provide more for them in Search and Destroy. I think he may be kind of more of an intelligent player, but do I think it's some big upgrade over Silly? I don't. I don't think it's some big upgrade.
I move more towards this being it's tough to say because they
a lateral move,
I was gonna say, I think this is more of a lateral move.
But it's like more like this than straight. But
I feel like instead of that paddle up, that's lateral anymore. For me personally, and I guess I'll throw this out there, this is a team that I could easily see changing again post Seattle.
I think the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that
assuming they can find an upgrade
yes,
somewhere. Yeah.
100%. It's one of those things where the right piece falls into play. I think it will wind up happening. So that was a look at United. That was just the one change.
And I thought real quick, I thought Silly, started to, for me at least, perform better over these last couple weeks at the events. He had some really crazy moments in Stage 1 playoffs at Birmingham as well, but something had to change. Like something had to change. Even if it's something minor like this, it had to happen. So hopefully we'll see if it maybe just kind of breathes new life into the squad.
And I can promise you there was almost no way that it was Clayster being the one that was being changed.
I mean, even if Clayster was the problem, he might not have been out. So I think that just speaks to the size that is Clayster.
Well, that was the big things with the United. Moving forward here, this one I'm excited to get into. EG, if you're wondering where Silly went, that's where he went, alongside Assault from Echo Fox, joins up with Aches and Apathy. We knew EG was changing probably from the first damn event of the year up to this point. They never really got their groove. Aches even tweeted out saying, we never really got to where I thought this team could get to, where we thought we could get to. You knew a change was happening. I think it was absolutely the right time. I will say I'm happy that they gave it the goes that they did, They didn't give up on that team immediately, but if there was a time to make a change, it was right now. And honestly, from what I've read, from the sentiments online to reading kind of what other people in the community think, I think this is a pretty damn good move for EG.
Yes, and I don't think it comes down to a skill thing. Like, you don't get some massive upgrade from a talent perspective. The reason this makes sense to me, and it's the kind of the first roster we'll really mention this, is it solves their role problem, which I think we can all say. One, you had, maybe you could say, too many leaders. One, maybe too AR heavy of a squad when they first formed. Yes, you bring in Assault, but that's replacing an AR, right? The big thing is bringing in Silly, and I think there's a lot of pressure it's going to be on what can Silly and Apathy kind of do together in that SMG role. You got to think Silly and Apathy might be a better pairing than, let's say, Silly and Pristini were, because Apathy, I think we can agree, is he's a better player than Pristini. I think we can agree on that. So it'll be exciting to see what they can do. But yeah, not some huge upgrade from talent, but from a role perspective, it makes sense. It does.
Assault on Echo Fox in Stage 1 at a 1.11 overall. KD leading his team. I mean, the guy's been an animal through and through since we saw him get his breakout, really, in Black Ops 3?
He'll always get his numbers. It's a guy that will always be there stats-wise. No concerns from that standpoint. It's just, can these guys click? We're going to find out pretty quickly.
I feel like right now he's got a good base. That Assault Apathy duo is something that I'm really, really looking forward to say the least. I feel like so far this year we know of Apathy's skill, but I feel like we haven't been able to really see it showcased. And you've now got an Aches guy that has already been on a team with Assault. They know what worked for them in the past. They beat Optic Gaming and Black Ops 3 champs together. And now I'm really looking forward to seeing them reunite. I think that's a big reason why Aches was more than happy to have him join up on this lineup.
Certainly.
So that's EG. Then Complexity. Now they've had a ton of moves. Now, really quick, does this also fall into the rumor part? Or
no. This has all been announced, I believe.
Okay.
Yes. The Complexity stuff's been announced. So why this one is big? And I know that they at least tweeted they'll be in pools, so I think that confirms the fact that they will get the Stage 2 spot. Because basically you had Era and Reckless.
Yep.
They had a spot in Stage 1. You need to keep at least 2 of your players. So Blast and Ricky are still together, which I think is enough to give them that spot. So this seems like something that came together just to make sure they have a spot in pools and a spot into Stage 2.
Yep.
You have Sensor and Dashy that join them. Dashy is a freak of nature. We know that. I thought he was one of the hottest pickups during this entire thing, which I guess surprises me that he's going to Complexity. I thought he was going to end up on let's say, an Envy or an United, or someone that's like a little bit more of a contender than obviously Complexity's been.
Yeah.
This is one of the things I was probably most shocked about. But hey, the big thing here is Dashy was probably the most skilled and talented player, not in pool play, not in the stages. This is solved now, so we're going to see a lot more of him.
I feel like we've been saying that for a year, right? Like, think back to IW, like on Street Rippin'. We were like, this guy was the best dude, not starting in pools. He had like the #1 event KD or something like that. And
yeah, no, he's going to be able to put on a show now. I think we're all excited about that.
I'm hoping so. And
as far as how this team will perform,
Do you see this team winning a championship?
No. That's not a knock to them. Actually, I think we'll speak to it. We'll speak to a little bit more, but it finally, I thought for a while there were like, maybe 8 teams that could sort of win. Now I think after the dust settled after all this, Optic, LG, Rise, FaZe when they can make a run. I think it's finally started to solidify at the top for me. Unless one of these teams comes out and surprises, but I think I don't know. I feel like that top echelon, that tier 1, starting to finally settle for me at least.
Wow. Okay, that's a pretty big statement. I mean,
well, I get it. If I was a team like any of these guys that didn't make changes, that was like if I'm LG, I'm like, have fun, everyone. Yeah. we'll still be here.
Well, it was funny to see the guys on Hot Mic talking about the Optic team and how Karma, famously after IW champs was like, all the teams making roster changes, you're kind of screwed, and now they've only made it to 1 grand final. So
that won't be the last one. I feel like I can guarantee that will not be the last final for Optic.
Yeah, I think for me, like with that team, you end that event, you're looking back on it, and it almost felt like an alternate universe. Like we went from the universe we were in to this alternate universe where they lose every scenario that they needed to win. Does that make sense? Like,
oh yeah,
if you played that scenario out 100 times with that Optic team, they win 99 times. But we went to that universe or that one time, and that's what Stage 1 playoffs finals.
I need to. It's funny that comeback. So you took some flack as well back when we were casting. You're like, oh, you guys are Optic fans. I'm like, no, it's just when they're winning. That's what you're casting is them destroying. Yes, it's gonna sound like that. I just thought it was funny after that comeback, they tweeted out the video of Joe and I casting the FaZe comeback, and someone was like, "Oh, it seems like Maven's rooting for FaZe." So that's the first time I've ever heard that.
Why does sound like Scooby-Doo?
A good match, you goddamn idiot!
Shots fired from Maven.
Just like Jesus. Yeah, I was giggling and happy in the moment because that comeback was incredible. I was
Did you just hear that? That was the rumor alert. Rumor alert. We haven't gotten full confirmation, but people are making rumors about the Echo Fox team. It's the thing that is looking like makes sense, but we haven't seen a complete confirmation yet. They still have the core of Saints, Vicento, and Aqua. But the fourth that people are rumoring is Temp joining forces with them from Envy.
This is as obvious as when Slasher was taking Method's spot. Like there is one high-profile dominant sub that is left in this. Temp, throughout the year has kind of led all submachine gun players in KD. If you look at overall KDs in the year, it's actually like he stands out when you just talk about the SMG role. Yeah. Which maybe hurts his team sometimes. I'm not entirely sure. Someone like Teep or Merc could probably speak to that more, but it's got to be Temp. It just makes too much sense, and that solves the problem, which is the biggest problem with Echo Fox. I think they talked about it a little bit on Nameless's podcast, but you can't have Aqua and a player like Aqua and Assault in the same team. You have 2 like dominant ARs. They need to make a change, and this is another team like EG that I think now has the roles more solidified, and this is what I'm really, really excited about, actually. Now that I think about it, I said there weren't many like big upgrades. Not that this is like a big upgrade. Like Assault's a great player, but from a role perspective, this is a big upgrade for a team like Echo Fox, and I don't know, maybe that'll be what puts them over the hump from being like a top 6 team to a top 4 team. We'll have to see.
This team, when it was originally formed with Assault back to start the year, was kind of that team that came together that I think everyone was like, wow, they have a ton of potential to be able to do some damage if they all click. I think that still stands true. I think the biggest things now is we kind of covered the teams we wanted to. Our last thoughts for me is I'm looking at a few things for these teams. How they do at Seattle. Not only that, but how they adapt to this complete shift and how the game kind of feels and plays.
True. True. What a great time to be changing teams, right?
Yeah, it's like it's literally Call of Duty World War II version 2 is what we're about to go through. New teams, brand new second half of the season, major brand new updates, some game-changing changes in regards to how the nades are, the score streaks. It's a really exciting time, and it makes sense for these. This will definitely not be the last Rostermania reaction. I think whether we do one final overall follow-up, maybe some sort of Seattle prediction, who knows, but if not after, I'm almost certain there has to be more roster movement. It might not be as big,
but like Unilad still hasn't replaced Moose. There's several things that haven't really happened yet, so I assume there'll be some more. And like you said, I mean, if there's a lot of disappointing results amongst these teams that changed in Seattle, who the fuck knows what could happen afterwards?
Well, that was always it's always a blast, Maven, recording these guys. We destroyed on the last video. Be sure to smash that like button. And we'll see you guys next time here on Rostermania Reactions with Uncle Jack and Grandpa Maven.